Good morning. The February 26, 2020 meeting of the Board of Estimates is now called to order. In the interest of promoting the order and efficiency of these hearings, persons who have disrupted to the hearing will be asked to leave the hearing room. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The hearing room must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in a charge of trespassing. Madam Deputy Comptroller, are there any corrections, additions, or deferrals on the agenda?
Good morning. For today's agenda, the board received a protest for pages 76 to 79, items number 8 through 11 from Bikemore, Greater Remington Improvement Association, Mona Lisa Diallo, and the New Untitled Terrorist Association. That item will be moving to the non-routine agenda. We have one item that is being withdrawn, and that is pages 13 to 14. And we have one item that's being deferred, and that's pages 72 to 73, items number 2 and 3. That item was previously on the non-routine agenda. I have the following abstentions to report. The Honorable Mayor Young will abstain on pages 27 to 28, pages 58 to 60, item number 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Pages 89 to 90, item numbers 3 and 4. Pages 94 to 95, item number 13. Page 109, page 110, pages 125 to 26, and page 129, item number 5. The Honorable President Scott will abstain on pages 58 to 60, item numbers 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. On pages 125 to 26 and page 129, item number 5. The Honorable Comptroller Pratt will abstain on page 90, item number 5, page 127, item number 1, and pages 131 to 132, item number 7. The item that remains on the non-routine agenda is pages 76 to 79, again, items 8, 9, 10, and 11. The other item, which was previously on the non-routine agenda, pages 72 to 73, items 2 and 3, has been deferred for 1 week. Mr. President and members of the board, those are the protests received for the day, the one withdrawal, and the one deferral, as well as the abstentions and the extensions that have been reported thus far. Thank you.
Thank you. I will direct the board members' attention to the memorandum from my office dated February 24th, 2020, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by the Deputy Comptroller. I will entertain a motion to approve all the items contained on the routine agenda.
Move approval, Mr. President.
I second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. The motion carries. The routine agenda items have been adopted. The first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on pages 76 through 79, items 8 through 11, Department of Recreation and Parks, Capital Development and Planning, RP 17807, Druid Hill Aquatic Center and Parking Lot. Will the parties please come forward? And before you start, I placed this item on non-routine before the protest because I have slight confusion on how it made its way onto the Board of Estimates agenda while it's still in City Council committee. We know that on January 15th, planning came before the committee stating that this 79-car parking lot was needed and would serve the admin and the expanded aquatic center. During that meeting, it was stated that the community did not receive a presentation on this project beyond those who came to headquarters, and it was said to the chairman of the committee that that would be rectified in order for the bill to be reheard and reconsidered. Has this happened?
Council President, yes, we did have a community
I'm sorry, Reginald Moore, Executive Director for Baltimore City Rec and Park. Yes, we did have a community meeting on last Wednesday. It was a community forum to discuss the parking lot. But what I want to do, sir, in addition, is I have a handout that I would like to give each board member and anyone else that wants a copy, because it shows that this project did not start a year ago, 2 years ago. This project started in 2014. And through this entire project, Rec and Park has been transparent. There's been meetings with all the city agencies in reference to the pool, in reference to the parking lot. There was, in order for it to even get on land use, sir, if you recall back on October 17th, there was a meeting with you, Michael Huber and Liam Pinkett, who's a council member in that district, to discuss the parking lot. But I want to stress also that this is a aquatic center and parking lot. So moving forward with a vote today does not, we understand that the parking lot component has to go back to land use, but the aquatic center can continue to move forward with construction. And that's what we're here today to ask for, is that we move forward with this agreement, with this contract, because the aquatic center can start. Any delays in this project could possibly move this pool, instead of being closed for 2 seasons, being closed for 3 seasons. So what we're asking for your support is that, yes, we will follow the procedures, and we have followed the procedures. We will go back to land use. If the parking lot is decided not to be built, then we still can move forward with the swimming pool. And that's why we're here today asking for the support.
So, Mr. Director, to your point, to the follow-up to that, I don't see how 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month is going to determine whether the pool is going to be closed for 2 seasons or 3 seasons. But to further the question that I asked earlier, I want to know specifically if you, not just the meetings in Rec and Parks, if you guys have specifically went to the Greater Remington Association and Alcantara Terrace Association to have community meetings with them in those communities.
Not individually, sir. We had a public forum at our office, and they had members represented in the meeting last Wednesday to express their concerns, as well as share their comments about the parking lot itself. But there again, I just want to stress that no one has objected the aquatic center. And so a vote today still moves the aquatic center forward, with understanding that we still have to go back with the parking lot. And we understand that. And I think that's an opportunity that we'll continue to hear feedback from the community. We'll continue to understand their concerns when it comes to this parking lot, but we still can move forward with the swimming pool.
And it's also my understanding, Mr. Director, that one of the associations was actually hosting a candidates forum on their regular scheduled night at the same time as the community meeting. So that we cannot, one, that means that my current colleagues on the council and the future ones, we're not going to be there, the folks that are going to be directly representing those neighborhoods. And we can't expect, we have to do better when we're talking about planning. If we know when the community association meetings are, we have to plan our meetings not on the same day at the same time. Because even, and I don't believe you guys did that with malicious intent, even if it's done that way, it's always going to be assumed that way, that we're trying to cut down on community voice, which you know, and you guys have been great in doing with Rec 2025 and all the other things that you're doing, of having it at the forefront. And because I think it's a critical point of having people's voices be heard consistently. As you know, I am a strong advocate of all the great work that you guys are doing at Rec and Parks, and in particular of expanding this pool, which, you know, I use as a kid growing up. But we also have to be very sensitive into listening and hearing to the community, especially those who are going to be most directly impacted by this project. And when we have a process that things like this shouldn't come before the board until the council's process is done, the way I operate is that we should follow that process to the T. I understand what you're saying about being able to come back and not do the parking lot, but when we make a commitment to a chairman of a committee that we're going to do something and we're not going to move until we do it, then we should do it that way. And my suggestion to the board is that we defer until the council finishes its due diligence in the committee, because yes, ma'am. Because we know that this project, the pool is going to happen. We know that. We know that the pool is going to happen. No one on this dais doesn't support the pool, but we do know that there's another process that's still taking place in the legislative body, that the chairman of that committee and the members of the committee do not feel that it's complete.
I have a question. So-
Madam Comptroller?
Sure. He's correct. Everyone wants the pool, and the citizens deserve a new modern facility. But my question is, if we move forward with the pool, what happens with the parking?
If the land use committee shoots down the parking, then there's no parking lot built, and that still will continue to identify that there is transportation issues in Druid Hill Park. For the different festivals that's held in that park, people continuously talk and complain about there's no bus route, there is no shuttle. Those are things that will have to be addressed. And then what people are going to do, it's not going to reduce the amount of cars that's going to come in that park. Then you're going to start having to probably fight the issue where people are going to find whatever available space that they can find, which means now we may have cars being parked on green space regardless, because people are still going to come to this new and improved aquatic center. And so the parking lot, what it does is it gives them a focal point. And another thing I want to stress is that I hope everybody should know is that this parking lot is not a new discussion. This parking lot has been a part of Druid Hill Master Plan. This parking lot, when we built the Jones Falls Phase 3 trail, that parking lot was supposed to have been built then. However, as they went through this process, they actually did not have enough money to build a parking lot. But that's the reason there is a curb cut right now in Druid Hill Park that seems like it's going to green space, but that was where the parking lot originally was approved to go. So this parking lot is not going to, I heard you say, Council President, serve the administrative office. It's going to serve anyone that's coming to play tennis. It's going to serve anyone that's coming to walk on the trail. It's going to serve anyone that's coming to this pool. It's going to serve anyone that just wants to come to this park. So, I've heard that comment about it being designated for the administrative office. It's not being designated for the administrative office. So I just wanted to share that as well.
And, Mr. Director, so just a point of clarity. If the land use committee doesn't approve the parking lot, wouldn't that change the scope of work on the contract that's before us today?
What it does is it gives us an opportunity, and I have Adam here who can talk more detail about that question in particular, so I'm going to yield to Adam to give your response to that.
And sir, state your name for the record.
Good morning. Good morning, Adam.
Pull the mic up, son.
Adam Borman, Chief of Capital Development, Rec and Parks. In that case, we would need to negotiate with the general contractor to take a credit for the value of the parking lot. With that credit, we could then apply it to potential additional add alternates to the pool, or any unforeseen change orders that would come up during construction.
And so we don't know if they would accept those, right? We don't know if the contractor will. You have to work with them. There's no guarantee that they'll say yes to what you're asking them to do.
Well, the contract is a lump sum price, so we would have to negotiate, based on our engineer's estimate of what we think the parking lot costs versus what they have defined in their numbers. So it would be a negotiated credit.
And that's my point. My discussion today is about process, because we have to make sure that we're as efficient and effective with all taxpayer dollars, and we consistently, you hear enough to hear me complain about extra work order on extra work order on extra work order on the project, when we know that we have Kerwin coming down the pike. Every extra dollar that we have to spend because we didn't follow process or we went around the process is something that's not going to go to things that we know we needed to do. And again, that's why I believe that we should let the council do its process, let the committee do its process, so that once it's complete, whichever way the committee votes, up or down, then we move forward based on that, so that we can provide this much needed service of a new pool and aquatic center to all in Baltimore, because we know everyone swims in Druid Hill Park pool. Mr. Mayor? Yes, sir.
Director Moore.
Yes, sir.
The October the 17th meeting, when you met with Chairman Reisinger of the Land Use, Council President Scott, and Mr. Huber and Councilman Pinkett, what was your thoughts after you had that meeting?
I was not present, but my capital team went and presented because in order for it to get on the land use committee, you have to get the support of the council president to make it an agenda item. And so according to this process, we went and met with his team and there was no opposition to move forward at that point in time. So we did move forward, and it ended up getting on the land use agenda. Another component here is, as Council President is talking about process, is that Rec and Park has followed every process, and it shows right here. It shows every process. We had to get chapel approval. We got DOT's approval. We got DPW approval. We've gotten everybody's approval in this process. And so even as we have one last hurdle when you're talking about the land use committee, that is the parking lot. And the parking lot is a smaller component of this larger project, which is this aquatic center. And so I think we all agree that we want to move forward on this aquatic center. I hear your concerns, sir, but the reality is that majority of our projects, we experience change orders because of various things that people have. So being able to have that possible credit if land use decides not to support this parking lot is an opportunity that we will have. But I do want to stress that, as you stated, there's over 40,000 visitors currently to Druid Hill Pool. And if you've ever there during the summer, it is a nightmare during pool season when it comes to parking. In addition is that we're now putting in a 7-lane competition pool. So that gives you an opportunity that you can host high school events and other kind of swimming competitions at Druid Hill, which is going to bring a whole nother group of individuals, which is also an economic impact to our community. So the reality is having that parking lot is important. But if land use decides not to move forward, then we'll have to determine next steps. But what we don't want to do is, as I stated earlier, this project started in 2014. It is now 2020. Delaying this project from starting the aquatic center, I mean, what happens to those citizens over the last 6 years who have came forward with no oppositions? The first opposition we heard about this parking lot was January 15th at the Land Use Committee. And I want to stress that in 6 years that this thing has been on the agenda for design. And we've had community meetings, regardless of who's shown up. We've advertised and did our process like we do every single one of our projects. We have community meetings, and you're right, we do want community support. We want community input. But in 6 years, there's been zero opposition until January 15th of 2020. And so now we delay something we've been designing for the last 6 years with this community for the last 30 days. And that's just something that concerns me. At the end of the day, I understand you all will make a vote on this, but moving forward on this aquatic center does not endorse that there's going to be a parking lot until we get land use agreement. And I just want to stress that point.
Mr. Moore, the bill that's before the land use is strictly for the parking only, am I correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, that's all I want to know.
Mr. President.
1 second, Mr. Garbark. Mr. Director, you and your team have already stated that if that bill doesn't pass, then the scope of this contract has to change, correct?
We said that we will have to negotiate with the contractor, but we can continue to move forward with the aquatic center. The vote today gives us authority to move forward with getting a notice to proceed to start the construction of the aquatic center, as we still go back to land use to determine if we're going to build a parking lot. So delaying this vote today delays the entire project, not just the parking lot. And so I just want to, but yes.
And so then when you talk about the process, when you guys introduced the bill, you knew that this was a possibility, correct?
We knew it was a possibility on what, sir?
So you didn't know when you introduced the legislation that if it would make it out of land use and if the council would approve it, correct? You didn't know.
We didn't know, but there again, in the meeting with you, sir, there was no expression of any delays or concerns on your end. Councilman Pinkett did not say one way or the other, but I think all we can do is go by what we're seeing.
My point is that when you don't know how a process is going to go, then then why are we here? If one process should be completed, because we can say that, oh, it won't impact this, it'll only impact that. Well, if we know that it's going to change the scope of the work, then that means it impacts the entire contract, in my opinion. And I think that, again, for me, this is about process. The administration said to the chairman that these things will be done, and he doesn't feel like they were done. He doesn't feel as if the communities were heard, and we're going to hear from them in a second. And that's the point. This is about process. A month a week, 2 weeks, if you guys have went back to the committee, he could have announced that hearing, and we could have been up or down one way or another in a few weeks, but the communication was not there. And I will not have my council members and my chairmen and chairwomen of committees be disrespected like that. Can we hear from?
I just want to say, sir, we have never disrespected an elected official, and I would like for us not to put that out in this hearing, that is if our agency has been nothing. We've been nothing but supportive to the entire council.
This is true.
Okay, so we have not disrespected this council at all. We have been transparent. I want to stress, Baltimore City Rec and Park has been transparent through this whole process, even though there's things that, if anything, I've seen concerns from some of your council members, some of the things that they've shared in tweets that I feel is disrespectful. To call our agency liars in a tweet form, sir, that is disrespectful when we have not been nothing but upfront, transparent through this whole process. There has been no secret meetings. There has been nothing other than, as you can see, this is a detailed document that we can verify to the T every transaction we've had with the swimming pool. So we've been transparent, and we have not been disrespectful to this council, to this board, and I really would like for us to continue to work in that light, that we're an agency, we work for the city of Baltimore. This pool is about the city of Baltimore.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Mayor,
I mean, I wasn't finished. I'm asking you, you can say yes or no.
go ahead.
When I was president of the council, anyone brought any project to me, if I gave it the nod, that was the position to move forward. And I'm quite sure that's what Mr. Moore and his team is doing.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We'll now hear from the protesters, please. Yeah, stay, Mr. Director.
Good morning and greetings, everyone. My name is Graham Carell Allen, and I'm a resident of Auchentrally Terrace. I'm an OSI Baltimore Community Fellow, a public artist, and the Vice President of the New Auchentrally Terrace Association. I'm here with my neighbors, Ms. Cheryl and Ms. Allison Lane, to express our association's protest of Recreation and Parks' proposal to remove green space in Druid Hill Park to construct the 79-car parking lot. While we greatly appreciate and look forward to the Aquatic Center, we believe that the parking lot will be harmful to the environment by increasing the urban heat island effect. We also believe that it will endanger pedestrians by disrupting the Jones Falls Trail, and it will further exacerbate the already extremely high levels of asthma that are prevalent in our community. Recreation and Parks' recent attempt at community engagement last February 19th was insufficient and marginalized community discussion by preempting all of our suggestions thus far with a poster that basically said, no, 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 no. What, do you have any other ideas? This poster made no commitment to considering equitable, sustainable alternatives to the parking lot, such as a transit shuttle. The landmark 2017 Asthma and Air Pollution in Baltimore City study by the Environmental Integrity Project and the Able Foundation identifies our zip code, 21217, Mondawmin, Reservoir Hill, Penn North, as having some of the highest rates of asthma in the city, with roadway pollution causing 50% of that risk, quote, more than twice the risk of any other category of pollution. The study states unequivocally that transit is the best solution. Furthermore, data shows that about half of our residents do not drive. They walk, they take transit, and they rely on mobility devices. Unfortunately, though, for many of our seniors, children, and people with disabilities, accessing Druid Hill Park is dangerous or impossible due to the barrier highways that ring the park. Our neighborhoods were historically served by transit and walking, streetcars. However, between the 1940s and the 1960s, Auchentrally Terrace and Druid Park Lake Drive were widened from residential 2-lane streets into roaring 5 to 9 lane wide, polluting dangerous highways. This was done over the protests of then predominantly Jewish and African American neighborhoods and presented as a, quote, citywide project, the negative consequences of which were borne by generations of West Baltimore ever since. Starting in 2017, myself and several other advocates here have been proactively working with our Councilman Leon Pinkett and the Department of Transportation on advancing the forthcoming Druid Park Lake Drive Complete Street Study, which will transform these barrier highways into safe neighborhood-serving boulevards that will reduce pollution and increase access points to the park. BCRP needs to get on board with DOT and develop capital projects that support long-term equity instead of making dangerous, wasteful, short-term projects that destroy green space. Currently, Baltimore City operates at a great loss the free downtown Charm City Circulator. Historically, we also had a circulator in Mondawmin. It was called the Shuttle Bug, and it was a reduced fare bus that has long since passed. West Baltimore deserves the same level of transit investment that downtown and adjacent neighborhoods get. Rec and Park should be coordinating proactively in a productive way with DOT, planning, the zoo, and our communities to design a free shuttle service so that we have the same type of circulator service that other neighborhoods get. We have the second largest transit hub in the city. We deserve that. And this shuttle should connect Mondawmin, the Metro, the zoo, Ocontrolli, Penn North, Reservoir Hill, and the Future Aquatic Center. Transportation equity, green space, sustainability, and public health improvement are possible. We ask that you all act in our best collective interests. Save our green space by replacing the parking lot with the Druid Hill Circulator. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Fong Lee. I'm the president of the Greater Remington Improvement Association. I understand that, unfortunately, I was not able to attend the meeting last week because of our council candidate forum. I also was never contacted about this meeting. We sort of found out through various channels. You talk about disrespect, and I feel like we as a community were disrespected by never being contacted. We have tried, our master plan was approved 2 years ago, and one of the things we brought up was increased access for biking and walking. Part of the Big Jump project was connecting our neighborhoods together in a way that historically was true, but unfortunately there's a large highway separating us. And now we can cross over and go to Druid Hill Park through biking and walking and through various mobility. And, well, I guess I'm a little scattered here, but my point is that we were never contacted. You talked about engaging with all the offices, and we were never contacted. In fact, when a few of our neighbors who, purposely did not attend our candidates forum attended that meeting, we were insulted. We were disrespected. We were called bourgeoisie by your people. Well, this is your concept of community engagement. And these parks are for community. These parks are for us. These parks are for all of us. And this is the posturing that you take. And I cannot help. As much as I support the aquatic park, we have constantly through our master plan, again, which was passed 2 years ago, opposed additional parking. And I guess my point being that, I just feel like we were cut out of this process. As a neighbor to that park, the third largest urban park in the country is now being cut out for 79, made smaller by 79 parking spaces. I find that troubling for all the reasons Graham cites and others, and I hope that we do better. Thank you.
Ms. Lane.
Mr. President, I did not
Oh, you don't have to.
deliver any remarks,
What's your name?
State your
my
name.
name is Allison Velez Lane, and I've lived on Ocontrolli Terrace for most of the years of my life. When I was in college, I was very proud when one day in one of my classes, the renowned Druid Hill Park was referred to. That park would not ever include a parking lot that would destroy the aesthetics of the park, that it creates a negative message income-wise. Every summer, I watch lots and lots of kids walk out to the park. That's how they get there. So the parking lot would only be for people who are drivers. And as Graham has said, in our neighborhood, only 50% of people in our neighborhood drive. So we're coming today to ask to leave the park as it is, a green space, a big, beautiful green space, and not include concrete, not to disrupt the ecosystem, and to allow the people who live in these neighborhoods to feel as though that they're as important as anyone else. There's another way for them to they can get to the park. I thank you for listening, and I look forward to us moving forward with a different plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Cheryl Bailey Solomon.
Step up a little bit.
Good morning,
Ms. Bailey.
everyone. My name is Cheryl Bailey Solomon. I am a 22-year resident of Untitled Terrace. I formerly lived on Park Avenue and Druid Park Lake Drive. So I've watched the whole development and grew up right across the street from Green Spring. And so I've watched that whole park from the ponds to the construction, being a member of the board of the zoo for 6 years, being a member of the executive board of Ocontrolly Terrace Association. And we do struggle with just walking across the street, okay, in the 22 years, or really, actually, I can say since 1974, since I've lived in the area. And the biggest part of using that green space, as the gentleman said, in Central Park, you can't put a car in the park. We are the third largest park. We do not deserve a parking lot. That green space is going to do a lot. You're going to take what I know as the green space where children and adult athletics are, you're going to move that out. Also, we don't have, when we did have, we stopped cruising in the park. We stopped a whole lot of stuff that put cars in it, so why are we bringing more cars? People are not going to know that there are just 79 spaces in there. They're going to jockey that there are no spaces in the park. When you do have other events in the park, concerts, musicals, whatever you're going to have, where are you going to put the other 100 or 200 or 500 persons? So is that worth, right, attracting more traffic to the park for those parking spaces? That's what I see. There's other alternatives. I'll just back up a minute. When the gentleman said we were fairly notified since 2014, that is untrue. If we would have known this, Ocontrolly is not a last-minute organization. If any of you all have come to any of our meetings, you know that we have as much as 50 people, no less than 25, that come to our meetings consistently. Every politician, and most of you all, some of you in this room have been to an Ocontrolly Terrace Community Association meeting. We are steadfast in making sure that now that we are state and federally historic, we want to keep that. We have to spend the additional monies, and we have to do all of that to keep our neighborhood intact. We do not need that. If it's going to but our health, it's going to take away the green space in the park. There's tons of other sides of the park that are not being used. I think strategically they can evaluate how they're going to do it. But the 79 spaces, just to think, as the young lady said and the gentleman said before, just to think of a parking lot in a park. As a member of the zoo for all of those years, you see how the zoo, they have never requested more parking spots, right? They sit right off of Ocontrolly and Liberty Heights. So what makes the difference? And then I say in turn to that, what are we going to do with the other 500 people that's going to come? The circulator is a better option. You have all of that space in Mondawmin Mall that is not being used, right? You have other sides of the park that you could actually do parking and have a circulator come through. So I'd like you all to consider the residents, the citizens who are not here, right? The citizens who don't know, right, to consider reevaluating the way that you're going to handle putting 72 spaces in a park, which will affect health, children, traffic in the park. And I thank you for listening.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone, and thank you, Mr. Director, for being here today.
One person wants to talk, sir.
Say again.
There's one more citizen that wants to talk about the green space.
Oh, sure. Come on, man.
Hi, I think I'm in, sorry, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Sarah Hope. I live in Laurelville. I am probably the unique person who's willing to come forward and say that I support the aquatic facility and the parking facility. I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to talk about this because I have a master's degree in landscape architecture. I worked for the Department of Recreation and Parks for 7 years. This morning I did the math on that. It means that I spent 1,750 days in Druid Hill Park. That's the place where I reported to work. I also have a city farm plot in Druid Hill, which I've had for 5 years. I play softball on a rec league that plays in Druid Hill. I use the pool at Druid Hill. I've had a membership for 5 years, and I play tennis there because in Laurelville, there are actually not that many places to play tennis. I sincerely hope that doesn't mean that my opinion is not valued. Because I am trained in observation, which is what the premise of landscape architecture is, I have probably walked, driven, or a third of the time I rode my bike from Laurelville to Druid Hill to come to work, which means I've probably passed that spot more than 3,000 times. I have probably twice that I can recall ever observed the place where the parking lot is being proposed being used. The only times that I've ever seen it used is when tennis groups or clubs were busing in children. They would pull into the existing curb cut, block the Jones Falls Trail, and unload the kids in that area. It's really the only safe place to do that. I also observed that in the 7 summers that I was coming to the park, that what happens is that, I don't know if anybody knows this, but the aquatic centers are open during the summer. Children are off from school during the summer, and they're using the facilities Monday through Friday during the week as much as they're using it on the weekend. What happens at that site is that 75% of the parking is taken up by recreation and park staff, which means that during the day, during the week, there really is not a good place to park. And what I observed is that people come, they double park, and they have to let their children out of the car in the middle of the road so that they don't have to walk them. That is a massively unsafe situation. I'd also like to add that I served on the Mayor's Disability Committee, specifically looking at access and ADA accessibility. I served on the Mayor's Bicycle Advisory Board. I am an avid biker, and this is one of the locations that I go to all the time. There's been a lot of pushback from the bike community. I'm certain I'm not winning any friends by being here, but I'm going to say that, half of the people that just presented are probably jaw-dropped right now. I think that they've made good arguments that the connection to their neighborhoods is inadequate, but this is a citywide park, and there are several avenues that they can still pursue in partnership with the department. Yesterday, I was on a webinar with the Maryland Department of Transportation. They're offering a transportation innovation grant. It addresses access for the last mile, which would easily connect the Mondawmin community to Druid Hill Park. Shuttles qualify. Shared ride passes qualify for those funds. Also, I'd like to point out that Greater Remington Improvement Association has access to Bernie funds, Baltimore Regional Neighborhood Initiatives, funds, which means that they could be asking Central Baltimore Partnership to apply for funds to address access to that park at the intersection of Sisson Street, Keswick, and is it East Drive?
East Drive, yes.
It is? Okay. So there definitely needs to be improvement in pedestrian and bicycle access at that intersection, but there are avenues to fund that in partnership with the Department of Recreation and Parks. So I don't know if either entity has pursued those avenues, but I think that it would be remiss if they weren't mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Director, again.
Thank you.
As you know, I think the world of you and the work that you're doing for the Rec and Parks and taking us in the 21st century. But I would be remiss if I didn't repeat myself and say that I believe that we should have had 2 separate contracts, one for the park and one for the parking lot, one for the aquatic center, because this, to me, leads to a process or a break in the process that should never happen. We should never be discussing something that needs council approval before the council is done approving it. First There's no argument around that. This is about the process. And again, I would like to put a motion forward to defer this item until the Council Land Use Committee continues or finishes this process. No second, Madam Comptroller?
Oh, you're going to call for the vote, and then I have some comments.
Mr. President, I move, while the protest is properly filed here, it's actually a protest that's not on a matter that's not before the board today. The parking lot is not before the board. There will be no parking lot unless and until the City Council approves an ordinance authorizing the parking lot.
Well, that's not true, Mr. Solicitor.
The protest is not well taken, so I'm moving to deny the protest and approve the recommendation, with the understanding, as you pointed out, Mr. President, that the department will have to negotiate on the contract to take a credit. That's understood.
Point of order, Mr. Solicitor. Director and the gentleman from Capitol said that the parking lot is included in this contract, and they're protesting the parking lot. So that's just not true to say that we're not discussing that today, because he said that it's included in this contract, but if the council doesn't approve it, then they will have to negotiate a credit for the parking lot. We wouldn't have to negotiate a credit if it wasn't included in the contract.
I second the motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No.
Okay, and I would like to thank
Comptroller Pratt.
Sure. I would like to thank everyone who came here today to express their views on the Druid Hill Park Aquatic Center. I understand the need for a new swimming pool at this location, and the people of Baltimore deserve a modern, fully upgraded facility. But I am concerned that this project will reduce the amount of green space in the park and affect the Jones Falls Trail. Also, area residents and neighborhood stakeholders feel their voices were not heard during the public engagement process. I appreciate those who came to speak to the board today and who contacted my office ahead of this meeting. I know a new pool in Druid Hill Park will benefit the city, but I also have to take into account the opinions of the people and the neighborhood associations who will be most directly affected by this project. For these reasons, I am abstaining on this vote on this contract.
All right, thank you. Actually, before we end today, I would now like to honor Solicitor Davis, as this is his last Board of Estimates, sir. Let's give him a round of applause. Yes, sir. I want to say first, thank you for returning to the city that you love, leaving the bench to coming, and we know that everything that you've done in your time here, and we've agreed on a lot and we've disagreed on a lot, but it's never been personal, because at the end of the day, I know that we both were two Baltimore boys who decided to dedicate their life to improving Baltimore. So, as you said earlier, I know there's a beach somewhere calling your name. Just make sure that you send us some pictures so that we can know what a beach looks like. And thank you for your service, Madam Comptroller.
Sure. We all have reasons for being proud of the city's accomplishments, because, Mr. Davis, the reason we are proud of you is your leadership in the Baltimore City Law Department, because under your direction, the Law Department did much to assist the city in its mission to continue to earn public trust. Your sense of honor and boundless integrity are sought-after qualities. The people of this city were very fortunate to have you looking after their best interests. As you enter this next phase of your life's journey, my sincerest wish is that you are blessed with an enjoyable and peaceful retirement. Thank you for all your years of service.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. As a neighbor, Abbott Street and Barnes Street, I appreciate you stepping down from a very powerful position as a federal judge to come and help out the city that you love. And I thank you for your service. I thank you for your honesty, your integrity. But most of all, I want to thank you for being a friend. And I wish you the best in your retirement.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. And before we end, last thing I want to comment, both the comptroller and I, there was a project or something on the routine item, which is the finalization, essentially, of a project. Many of you may remember Highlander Ridge, and what happened there is now a budding industrial area not too far from my home. But in this board today, it's about the accomplishment of having housing, finally housing for those individuals who are relocated to allow them to further themselves and be a greater part of the community. So I know the comptroller wanted to speak about that, but I want to talk about it a little bit myself because I can see it. I see Highlander Ridge each and every day to know that the neighbors that were once there and the situations that they were living in are now being able to be dispersed across the city and uplift themselves is a great thing. Madam Comptroller?
Sure. The Highlander Ridge pilot makes possible the redevelopment of 94 units of affordable housing for the city residents who were displaced when this public housing project was torn down in 1996. It enables the Housing Authority to use $20 million awarded under the federal Hope 6 grant to renovate and improve homes in neighborhoods across the city. Also, this pilot helps low-income residents and stimulates redevelopment in underinvested neighborhoods. We should do all we can to promote equitable development of affordable housing. And so I think this is a very good item that was approved today. Thank you.
Thank you. As there's no more business before the board, we will recess until bid opening at 12 noon.
Session for the receiving and opening of bids. In the best interest of promoting the order and efficiency of these proceedings, persons who are disruptive to the meeting will be asked to leave the boardroom. Meetings of the Board of Estimates are open to the public for the duration of the meeting. The room must be vacated at the conclusion of the meeting. Failure to comply may result in a charge of trespassing. One addenda has been received for the Department of Public Works, bid number WC 1404, Urgent Need Water Infrastructure Rehabilitation and Improvements Phase 3, Fiscal Year 20. Please change the bid due date from February 26 to March the 11th, 2020.
The addendum is noted for the record.
The first item we will open is the Bureau of Procurement B50005946 flatbed truck crane with a bid bond. It does have a bid bond.
Who's the vendor? Who's the bidder?
The bidder is Altech Northeast LLC. Total bid amount is $239,947. $239,947.
There was a bid bond?
Yes, with a bid bond.
Thank you.
The next bidder is TransTech, Inc., doing business as Freightliner of Elkton. With a bid bond, total dollar amount is $246,418. $246,418. The next bidder is Harbor Truck Sales and Service, Inc., with a bid bond, total dollar amount $244,022. $244,022. The next bidder is Beltway International Llc with a bid bond. Total dollar amount $238,557. $238,557.
Okay, these will be referred to the Bureau of Procurement for their review.
The next bid opening is the Bureau of Procurement B50005950, crew cab and chassis truck with stake body and lift gate with a bid bond. bidder is Transtech Inc., doing business as Freightliner of Elkton. With a bid bond, total dollar amount $200,865. $200,865. The next bidder is Harbor Truck Sales and Service, Inc. With a bid bond, total dollar amount $201,395. $201,395. The next bidder is Beltway International Llc with a bid bond. Total dollar amount $202,547. $202,547.
Okay, these will be referred to the Bureau of Purchasing for review.
We'll go back to the first one, which is Bureau of Procurement, B50005944, double drum asphalt compactor with a bid bond. The bidder is Valley Supply and Equipment, Inc., Valley Supply and Equipment Company, Inc., with a check. Total dollar amount, $94,338. $94,338. The next bidder is GT Mid-Atlantic LLC with a bid bond. You see it? Total dollar amount is $125,990. $125,990.
These will be referred to the Bureau of Purchasing for review.
The next bid is Bureau of Procurement, B50005951, 1-ton 4x4 crew cab pickup truck with open utility body with a bid bond. The bidder is She High. How do you pronounce that?
Sheehy.
Sheeny. Sheehy.
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 Yeah.
Sheehy Auto Sales with a check. Total bid amount $54,325. That's $54,325. next bidder is Pacifico Ford, Inc. With a bid bond. Total dollar amount is $55,744. $55,744.
Okay, this will be referred to purchasing for review.
The last bid is Bureau of Procurement, B50005562, website hosting, management, and maintenance support, price opening. No bid bond required. The bidder is Mind Grub Technologies, LLC. Total bid price is $400,000. Total bid price, $400,000.
I also have Canton Group. There were 2 envelopes.
Is there another one?
Canton Group. I get it. We found it. It was clipped with
Right.
the first one.
The next bidder is Canton Group. Total bid price is $425,999.70. $425,999.70.
Okay, thank you. Both of these will be referred to Bureau of Purchasing for review.
There being no more business before this board, it is adjourned.
Great.